Hi, it's so nice to meet with you. I'm Kirsten from Generation Atomic. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I am Johan Sollid. I am the chairperson and co-founder of the pro-Danish nuclear movement, around 26.
Wow, and you'd also do work for Carnival?
Yeah, I work as head of marketing and communication at the Danish part of Shanful. It's a broader company focused. They started in Sweden. Now we are three companies: Kernful Energy Sweden, Kernful Energy Denmark, and then Shanful Next. Shanful Next is developing new projects for SMR reactors in the Nordic region. Yeah.
Why are the projects at these two companies, foundations, so important?
It's important because we rethink the way that we are developing nuclear projects. What we're doing is that Kernful Energy and Denmark and Kernful Energy Sweden are both retail companies in electricity. So we are electricity suppliers. We give consumers the chance to actually get 100% nuclear power. So we have guarantees of origin where the people they use the power, and we buy the same amount of electricity in guarantees of origin from Swedish nuclear power plants. So people now have the opportunity to actually vote with their wallets, and that can gather tens of thousands of people to actually be very focused on wanting nuclear. And doing that before you start a company, then you automatically have a base. You actually have the people, you have your customers. And that's a big advantage when you want to go out to a municipality and build a nuclear power plant.
Yeah.
Knowing who's in the board and knowing the citizen association and groups, that's a big advantage, it is.
Yeah, so in addition to selling that nuclear power, which is so vital to the expansion of clean energy in Scandinavia, you've managed to change a lot of minds. Can you explain kind of how that's done?
I came into nuclear 4 to 5 years ago, and when I came in, it wasn't a popular topic in Denmark, even that. Back in 2016, so that's 8 years ago, there was a opinion poll showing that only 16% of the Danish population were pro-nuclear, and 66% were anti-nuclear. So it was like a very clear sign we were an anti-nuclear country. But through the years and through climate change being put more on the agenda, as well as an energy crisis, as well as a crisis of the Ukraine and Russia crisis, we have been more focused on the security of energy, the supply of energy to a country, combined with climate change has actually changed a lot. And what we are seeing in Denmark, like 49%, the latest opinion poll shows 49% of the Danish population are pro-nuclear, 32% are anti. So we tripled the amount of people in 8 years to support nuclear power in maybe one of the most anti-nuclear countries in the world. Yeah.
That is an incredible feat. Now, do you find a lot of opposition pushing nuclear in a country that's so hooked on renewables?
Yeah, the opposition is mostly based in industry and in politics, because the Danish energy model was to be 100% renewable based. And it's not going that great in Denmark. Yeah, we have 50% of our electricity that comes from wind and solar, but electricity in Denmark only accounts for 20% of the total energy supply. So we haven't even electrified that much in Denmark. So getting 50% of your electricity, but when electricity only accounts for 1/5 of the total energy usage, then in crude numbers, or not in percentages, wind and solar only accounts for 10% of Denmark's total energy usage, because we haven't electrified our heating, we haven't electrified our transportation, we haven't electrified our industries. That's the hard parts.
Yeah.
And all of these are the use cases where we have heating, we have industry, we have cars, we use fossil fuels or we use biomass. And wind and solar isn't that great at only alone decarbonizing and phasing out those energy sources. So Denmark also need a clean, firm and stable energy source. We don't have mountains. We are flat as a pancake. Our highest point, it's called actually the Heaven Hill. It's called the Heaven Hill in Denmark, and it's 100 meters high. That's how flat we are.
Wow.
So the only opportunity to have a stable, clean, firm source of energy, that is nuclear for the future.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of sun there either. Is
No,
that correct?
exactly. Yeah, don't speak about that. Like in wintertime, I'm happy that I'm in Dubai right now, because back
Me
home
too.
we have -10 degrees and we have 30 centimeters of snow back home, and there's no
brutal.
sun. And what we're experiencing in Denmark in the start of December is that we're experiencing that we don't have any wind, we don't have any solar. So what we are going to do, it's called Dunkelflaute, it's a German word. we have to burn coal and biomass to keep us warm and give us electricity. So our carbon emissions in Denmark right now, they're like Germany's, they're like Poland's emissions right now.
Oh God.
Because our winters are just staying put, and also there's no sun.
Yeah.
So that's where nuclear power would be such a great use case.
Yeah.
Together with wind and solar, and in other industry producing hydrogen, producing district heating, and other applications to balance the grid with inertia and all. So the use cases for nuclear in Denmark is immense. They are.
Do you think that Denmark is looking to Sweden at all, like learning lessons from them? They're doing great.
They're doing great, they are, but the Swedes and the Danes have a history of the Danes not looking that much to Sweden, because we were actually in Denmark the cause why Sweden closed one of their nuclear power plants, Barsebäck, back in the early 2000s, and that was because there was such a big public aggression against this nuclear power plant in Sweden. So we're actually not being that fond of Sweden. We're actually being very fond of ourselves. Denmark is having a big Napoleon complex. We think so highly of ourselves, and we are doing really shit right now. Like the climate, the carbon emission, the carbon intensity from Denmark is through the roof.
Wow.
Like, and as I told before, like the amount of wind energy in our system, it has 50% of our electricity. It seems like a lot. But compared to the total energy consumption in Denmark, we are so far away.
It's not enough.
The countries that actually are green leaders, that is Sweden, it's Switzerland, it is France, countries that are actually having decarbonized their grids 30, 40 years ago.
And how they do it?
They did it with nuclear power and hydropower.
And hydro, yes.
But not France, they don't, they're mostly nuclear, of course. But it's so insane to think they did this before like there was a public understanding that climate change were man-made.
Yeah.
So back then it was only because to get rid of oil and gas. And now we also want to get rid of oil and gas because of climate change, but also because of geopolitical reasons.
Yeah.
So it should be double as fast to do it now. We should really be deploying nuclear power. And this is what we're seeing with the pledges here at COP. We're seeing a tripling of nuclear power to 2050. Also, the industry is supporting it. We are having a nuclear summit in Dubai. Never seen this much attention around it.
Yeah.
So it's looking good, and I think the industry and the advocacy will go far if they work together, because that is what has been very ordinary in nuclear for a long time, is that industry and advocacy haven't been combined. They have to go together, because the advocates are the key to the population. Industry have always been bad at communicating what they want to do. And that's what the renewable energy sector did. Like over 10 years ago, they got the advocates to maybe work from the industry or work with them, have work with them. So I think we can learn a lot from how the renewable energy industry actually change people's minds to support wind and solar, for example. We can do the same with nuclear.
Absolutely. And the revolution's starting, but it has to take off more for sure.
It has.
What are some of your takeaways from this conference so far on that note?
I would say I'm very, very surprised that seeing countries that are actually allies fighting each other to be the best on nuclear. We haven't seen this in centuries. Like typically we fight our enemies, but now we are battling each other who can deploy the most nuclear. Today we just heard OSGE from Poland, Orlen Synthos, that the Polish government has now agreed on confirming 6 sites for 24 BWRX 300 reactors from GE Hitachi. And that just makes Canada, like that has 4 units being deployed right now, look like a little brother. And that makes Canada. I just talked to Todd Smith, that's the energy minister in Ontario, and he felt it. He was like, oh shit, we're only doing 4 reactors now. Then we have to do more reactors. So this banter or this battling of who can be the best, that's pushing more green energy into the grid.
Yeah.
And this is what this summit is showing, that companies and industry are actually battling each other to be the best. And that will only have a good effects on, of course, mitigation, because we will get there much faster.
Yeah.
So there's so much positivity around this, and I talk with people from industry as well and advocates that have been in this advocacy for 15 years. They're like, this moment today, that's the biggest moment in nuclear advocacy and industry in several decades. So it's a big day, it is, and I'm also very proud of my own organization, but all of the other young advocates here, showing that you can be a climate activist as well as a nuclear advocate.
That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having a conversation with me.
No problem.
Or letting me learn from you.
Yeah, but I'm also learning from you. You're representing a great organization with Generation Atomic, and you have inspired our movement in Denmark a lot with all of your content and what you have done on social media. So I'm the one thanking you.
Thank you.